Today, we're diving into the science of staying calm. And it's not about just wishing you were calmer, it's about becoming the architect of your own inner peace by training the most powerful tool you have, your brain.
You know that feeling, right? One minute you're totally fine, and the next, this wave of stress or anxiety just washes over you, and suddenly it feels like you're not even in the driver's seat anymore. Well, you are definitely not alone, and there's a fascinating reason why that happens.
So to really get a handle on how to stay calm, we first have to understand this little battle that's always going on inside our heads. Think of it as a constant tug-of-war between our ancient instinctual brain and our modern rational mind.
Okay, let's meet the two main players in this story. First up, we've got the amygdala. This is your brain's ancient, super-fast smoke detector. Its only job is to scan for danger, and it can trigger that fight-or-flight response in a split second. Its motto is, "Am I safe?" On the other side, you've got your prefrontal cortex. This is the CEO of your brain. It's the part that handles rational thought, planning, and self-control. It's much slower, way more deliberate, and it asks, okay, what's the best way to handle this?
Now here's the thing. When stress gets too intense, the amygdala basically screams, "Emergency!" and hijacks the entire system. It floods your body with stress hormones, and the connection to your rational prefrontal cortex, it gets temporarily cut. Neuroscientists have this awesome term for it. They call it flipping your lid. It's like your thoughtful CEO has been sent home for the day, and now the twitchy, reactive alarm system is running the whole show.
And this isn't just a temporary thing. If you're under stress all the time, it literally remodels your brain. It causes your amygdala, that threat detector, to physically grow larger and more sensitive. Meanwhile, the connections in your prefrontal cortex, your rational CEO, actually shrink and get weaker. So what does that mean? It means the more stressed you are, the more your brain physically wires itself to be even more reactive to stress in the future. It's a tough cycle.
Now, I know that might sound a little bleak, but this is where the really good news comes in. Your brain has this incredible built-in superpower that allows you to hit reverse on this process. It's time to talk about neuroplasticity.
This, right here, is the absolute key. Your brain is not set in stone. It's much more like clay. Neuroplasticity is just a fancy word for its ability to change, to adapt, to literally rewire itself based on your experiences, your thoughts, and your habits. And that means you can intentionally create and strengthen new neural pathways for calm.
You might have heard this saying before, and it's famous for a reason. It perfectly explains how this works. Every single time you have a thought or a feeling, you're strengthening the neural pathway for it. The paths you use the most, they become superhighways. They get stronger, faster, and more automatic. And that's true whether you're building a superhighway for anxiety or one for calm.
So this is the amazing potential we all have inside us. By consciously choosing to practice calming habits, we are literally physically strengthening our prefrontal cortex. We're building a stronger CEO that can step in and effectively manage that threat detector, which leads to way better emotional regulation and a real, lasting sense of well-being. Okay, theory is great, but what can you do in the heat of the moment, when you actually feel that lid about to flip? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple. You use your body to talk directly to your brain. I want you to think of your breath as a remote control for your nervous system. Seriously, when you deliberately change how you're breathing, you can flip the switch on your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the body's built-in rest and digest mode. It sends a powerful, direct signal to your amygdala that says, hey, we're safe, you can stand down.
This right here is probably the single fastest way to calm down that neuroscience has found. It's called the physiological sigh. That double inhale pops open all the tiny little air sacs in your lungs, and then the long, slow exhale rapidly gets rid of carbon dioxide, which tells your brainstem to slam the brakes on the stress response. Seriously, just one or two of these can make an immediate difference.
And here's another powerhouse, box breathing. This technique is so good at helping people stay focused under pressure that it's used by Navy SEALs. The structured, rhythmic pattern kind of imposes a sense of order on your nervous system and gives your prefrontal cortex something to focus on other than whatever is stressing you out.
So those tools are fantastic for putting out fires in the moment, but to really create lasting change, to actually rewire your brain's default settings, you need consistent, long-term practices. Think of it like building emotional fitness.
The research consistently points to three main pillars for building a more resilient brain: mindfulness and meditation, physical exercise, and something called cognitive reframing. Now, exercise is a huge one. But for this, we're really going to focus on the other two, the practices that directly train your prefrontal cortex to get better at managing that amygdala.
So the first pillar is mindfulness. Brain scans of people with a consistent meditation practice show incredible changes. It literally reduces the size and activity of the amygdala, your fear center. At the exact same time, it increases the gray matter and strengthens the connections in your prefrontal cortex and your hippocampus, areas that are absolutely vital for focus, self-control, and memory.
The next pillar is cognitive reframing. And this is not about toxic positivity or just pretending everything's fine. It's about training your prefrontal cortex to be a good detective. When an automatic negative thought pops into your head like, I always fail, you consciously challenge it. You ask for the evidence. This simple practice strengthens those executive control pathways, giving you more power over your automatic emotional reactions.
So the biggest takeaway here is that becoming a calmer person isn't some destination you arrive at one day. Nope, it's about building a muscle. And just like any other muscle in your body, it gets stronger with small, consistent daily workouts.
So here's a simple, science-backed routine you can start with. Each of these things helps regulate your nervous system and helps your brain rewire itself. Getting morning sunlight sets your body's internal clock. Those little micro-breathing breaks keep stress from piling up. Daily meditation literally remodels your brain's architecture. Reframing just one thought builds your cognitive strength. And social connection, that reinforces feelings of safety. The only magic ingredient is consistency.
You know, your brain has this incredible lifelong ability to change. It is constantly learning, constantly adapting based on what you do and where you put your attention. That wiring is not fixed. So the only real question left is, what new pathways will you choose to build?